The signal that shook the stars. A vast, endless void stretched across the galaxy. Stars burned silently, planets drifted in their eternal orbits, and civilizations lived and perished without a sound. But one night, a desperate call echoed through the emptiness, a distress signal, weak yet persistent, traveling faster than light, reaching the ears of those who could listen. In a hidden command center on Earth, deep beneath the surface, a group of scientists and military leaders gathered around a blinking red screen. The signal had been intercepted by one of Earth's deep space listening stations. It was old, fragmented, and filled with static. General Ethan Carter, a hardened veteran with sharp blue eyes, leaned forward. "Play it," he ordered. A robotic voice filled the darkened room. "This is static. Last survivors. Static. Help us before. Static. Destroy everything." The room fell silent. The message was short, broken, and filled with fear. Dr. Amelia Grant, a leading xenolinguist, adjusted her glasses. "This is not just any distress signal. The language is ancient. The frequency used is something we haven't seen before." Commander Ryan Cole, a man known for his instincts, folded his arms. "So, do we know where it came from?" One of the analysts, a young officer named Lieutenant Hayes, tapped a few keys on his console. A 3D map of the galaxy appeared. A glowing red dot pulsed in the farthest reaches of known space. Sector X9, a region no human or alien ship had ever dared to explore. General Carter frowned. "That area, it's a dead zone. No communication, no life, nothing but legends and ghost stories." Dr. Grant turned to the group. "Yet, someone out there is alive, and they are desperate." A few hours later, Earth's representatives at the Galactic Council convened to discuss the mysterious signal. The council was made up of various alien species, each with their own interests and fears. Ambassador Velrin, a reptilian being from the Xeric Dominion, hissed in displeasure. "A distress signal from the void. It is a trap. No civilization has survived in that sector for over 1,000 cycles." A robotic entity, known as Speaker 117 from the AI conglomerate, processed the information. "Statistical probability suggests high-risk conditions. Unknown threat level. Mission unadvisable." But then, a deep voice interrupted. It was Admiral Thomas Reynolds, the representative from Earth. His eyes were cold, his tone firm. "If there are survivors, we cannot ignore them. Humanity was built on the principle that no cry for help should go unanswered." Velron's yellow eyes narrowed. "Humans always rush into danger. That is why you are feared." Reynolds smirked. "No, that's why we survive." Despite opposition, Earth's request was granted. A single fleet would be allowed to investigate. Nothing more. The Council would not risk their own forces. Back on Earth, the best of humanity's forces were called upon. The U.S. Titan, a state-of-the-art battleship, was chosen to lead the expedition. Alongside it, 3 escort ships. The Vanguard, the Odyssey, and the Revenant would provide support. Captain James Hunter, an experienced commander with a reputation for defying odds, stood aboard the U.S. Titan, addressing his crew. "We are venturing into the unknown. We don't know who sent this distress call or what awaits us there. But make no mistake, this is not just a rescue mission. This is a test. The galaxy is watching us, and whatever we find out there, we will face it together." The crew cheered. They knew the risks, but they also knew one thing. Humanity never ignored a call for help. With a final command, the fleet engaged their warp drives, disappearing into the endless dark. As the fleet exited warp, a chilling sight greeted them. The distress signal source was a dying planet, floating in the middle of a vast debris field. Broken ships, shattered satellites, and abandoned stations drifted lifelessly. The remnants of a once great civilization, now nothing more than cosmic dust. Commander Cole scanned the readings. No signs of life. No movement. Just silence. Dr. Grant adjusted her sensors. but the signal is still transmitting from the surface. Someone, or something, is still alive down there. Captain Hunter narrowed his eyes. Prepare a landing team. If there are survivors, we will find them. As shuttles descended toward the ruined world, no one could shake the feeling that they were not alone. Something was watching them. Something ancient. And it was waiting. The shuttles descended slowly, their engines humming against the silence of the dead planet. Thick clouds of dust and ash covered the surface, making visibility difficult. Captain Hunter sat in the lead shuttle, gripping the armrest as they neared the landing zone. The distress signal was coming from an old structure, half buried under debris, its walls cracked with age. Whatever civilization had lived here, it had been wiped out long ago. Dr. Grant stared at the scanner in disbelief. I'm detecting faint energy readings. Something is still active down there. Commander Cole checked his weapon, or someone. As the shuttles touched down, the team moved cautiously. The air was thin, almost unbreathable. They activated their helmets, sealing off any exposure. The ruins stretched for miles, broken towers leaning like forgotten ghosts. The silence was unnerving. No wind, no movement, only the occasional flicker of blue light from the buried structure ahead. They approached the entrance, a massive metal door covered in strange markings. Dr. Grant ran her fingers over the symbols. This is ancient, older than any known civilization in the Council's records. A deep groan echoed as the door suddenly began to shift. Dust and debris rained down as the structure responded to their presence. The team raised their weapons, ready for anything. The doors slowly parted, revealing a dark corridor leading into the depths of the ruined city. Hunter took a step forward. Stay sharp. We move in. The team entered, their lights cutting through the thick darkness. Walls lined with strange carvings told a story of a civilization long gone. Scenes of war, destruction, and something else. Something unnatural. The further they moved, the more the uneasy feeling grew. A sudden noise made them freeze. A metallic scrape, like something moving in the shadows. Cole signaled the team to halt, his hand hovering over his weapon. The sound came again, closer this time. Then, a voice. Weak, almost a whisper. Help! Me! Dr. Grant turned sharply. Did you hear that? Hunter nodded, his eyes scanning the darkness. The signal had led them here, but they had expected wreckage, maybe old digalogs. Not a survivor. Cole stepped forward, shining his light down the corridor. A figure emerged, barely standing, leaning against the wall. Its skin was pale, its eyes sunken. It was humanoid, but not human. Its body was covered in a torn uniform, symbols matching those outside. It had been waiting. Grant rushed forward, scanning for injuries. It's alive. The alien struggled to speak. You must leave, before they return. Hunter's stomach clenched. Who? The alien's breathing was shallow, but its next words sent a chill through the team. The ones who ended us, the ones who destroyed my people, they are still here. A deep, distant rumble shook the ground beneath them. Dust fell from the ceiling. Something was waking up. Hunter grabbed his communicator. All teams, fall back to the shuttles now. But before they could move, a new sound filled the ruins. A low, mechanical growl, growing louder from the depths of the city. Red lights flickered in the darkness, moving fast. They were not alone. The air inside the ruins grew heavy, thick with dust, and the weight of something unseen. The alien clutched at Dr. Grant's arm, its weak fingers trembling. Its sunken eyes darted between the humans, desperation written across its exhausted features. They are coming, it whispered. You don't understand. They never left. Captain Hunter exchanged a glance with Commander Cole. The distress signal had led them here, but now it was clear. This wasn't a simple rescue mission. Something far worse had happened on this planet, and whatever wiped out this civilization was still lurking. A metallic screech echoed through the corridors, followed by heavy, deliberate footsteps. They were slow, calculated, and impossibly loud. Hunter clenched his jaw, tightening his grip on his weapon. "Move, now," he ordered. The team shifted into formation, weapons raised as they guided the alien toward the exit. But the moment they stepped forward, the corridor lights flickered, weak, dying remnants of a once great city's technology. The red glow from deep within the ruins pulsed, like a heartbeat, growing stronger. Then the first shadow moved. It wasn't a creature. It wasn't a person. It was a machine. Towering, skeletal frames of black metal emerged from the darkness, their joints clicking with unnatural precision. Red lights pulsed from their heads, scanning the humans like prey. Their arms, elongated and fitted with weapons that hummed with energy, lifted in eerie synchronization. "They are the ones." The alien choked out, barely able to speak. "They cleansed my world. And now, they will cleanse you." Hunter didn't hesitate. "Open fire." The corridor erupted in light and sound. Plasma bolts streaked through the air, slamming into the machine's metallic bodies. Sparks flew as armor cracked, but the enemy didn't falter. The machines advanced, their movements smooth, unstoppable. Cole took a step back. "Captain, they're adapting." One of the machines raised its arm. A high-pitched whine filled the air before a burst of energy shot forward, missing Hunter by inches and melting a hole into the stone wall behind him. Grant grabbed the alien, dragging it toward the entrance. "We need to leave. We can't fight these things." Hunter knew she was right. They were outmatched, outgunned. But if these machines were still active, then the danger wasn't just here. It was a threat to the entire galaxy. Another explosion rocked the ruins as a second wave of machines emerged from the shadows, their glowing eyes locking onto the retreating team. Hunter grabbed his communicator. "Mission compromised. All teams, immediate evacuation. Get the shuttles ready for takeoff." The ground beneath them rumbled, the ruins shaking as if the planet itself was waking up. Stone collapsed from the ceiling, and a deep, inhuman voice echoed through the ruins. "You should not have come." It wasn't a voice meant for organic ears. It was metallic, ancient, and filled with something far worse than malice. It was hunger. Hunter didn't waste another second. "Go, go, go." The team sprinted through the corridors, dodging falling debris and enemy fire. The exit was close, the cold air of the dead world just beyond reach. But as they neared the surface, Hunter felt it, the undeniable presence of something watching them. Something far bigger. And it wasn't done hunting. The sky above the ruined city was eerily silent, the kind of silence that felt wrong. Captain Hunter and his team burst out of the crumbling structure, their boots kicking up dust as they ran. Behind them, the ancient machines moved in relentless pursuit, their red eyes glowing like dying embers in the darkness. The alien they had rescued stumbled, barely able to keep up. Dr. Grant grabbed its arm, helping it forward, but it was clear the creature was too weak to run much farther. Commander Cole shouted into his communicator, "Where's our evac? We need a pickup now." A sharp burst of static was the only response. Then a voice crackled through. "This is Valkyrie. We've got incoming bogies in low orbit. Unidentified ships are moving fast. We can't land yet." Hunter cursed under his breath. "How long?" 5 minutes, maybe less. "But you've got more problems, Captain. Our sensors just picked up a massive energy surge below your position. Something big is waking up." The word sent a chill down Hunter's spine. He turned to look back at the ruins, and for the first time, he noticed the ground beneath them was shifting. Cracks formed in the ancient stone, glowing with a dull red light. The machines weren't just defending these ruins. They were guarding something far worse. Then, the earth shook. A deep guttural vibration rolled through the ground, making the dust dance in the air. The ruins behind them collapsed further, and from the darkness, something began to rise. It wasn't just another machine. It was a colossus, a towering construct of black metal and pulsing red veins, standing at least 50 feet tall. Its head, elongated and skeletal, twisted unnaturally as it turned toward them. Two massive arms, each ending in segmented claws, cracked the air as it moved. Its chest pulsed with energy, an ancient power source now awakened after centuries of slumber. The alien gasped, horror written across its face. You woke the executioner." Hunter didn't wait to ask what that meant. "Move. Now." The team ran toward the only cover available, an outcropping of jagged rock at the edge of the ruins. Behind them, the executioner took its first step. The impact sent a shockwave through the ground, nearly knocking them off their feet. Then, it raised one massive arm, and the air shimmered as energy gathered in its core. A blinding red light formed in its palm, seconds from being unleashed. Cole shouted, "It's charging a weapon." Hunter made a split-second decision. Scatter. The team dove in different directions just as the weapon fired. A beam of crimson energy erupted from the executioner's hand, slicing through the ground like molten steel. The heat alone was enough to scorch their armor. The blast carved a deep trench through the ruined city, vaporizing everything in its path. Dr. Grant and the alien barely missed being incinerated. The alien collapsed to its knees, staring at the destruction with wide, terrified eyes. "We are already dead," it whispered. Hunter gritted his teeth. "Not yet." The communicator crackled again. "Valkyrie here. We're coming in hot. You need to get to the extraction point now." Hunter glanced at the towering executioner, still charging another attack. He didn't know if they had enough firepower to take it down, but they had no choice. "Everyone, move to the AVAC site. Keep that thing busy." Cole and the others opened fire, their weapons barely leaving a dent on the executioner's thick armor. But it was enough to slow it down. The sky above roared as the Valkyrie finally descended, its thrusters kicking up dust as it hovered just above the surface. The ramp lowered, the engines humming with urgency. "Get in. Now." One by one, the team scrambled aboard. Grant pulled the alien onto the ship just as another energy blast tore through the ground behind them. Hunter was the last one in. He turned back, locking eyes with the executioner one final time. The machine stood unmoving, watching them go. Its red eyes burned with something almost sentient. The ramp sealed shut. The Valkyrie shot into the sky, engines roaring as it left the ruined world behind. Hunter exhaled, running a hand through his sweat-drenched hair. He turned to the alien, who was still shaking. What the hell was that thing? The alien took a deep breath. "A warning." Grant frowned. "A warning for what?" The alien's eyes darkened. "The true war has not begun yet." The Valkyrie shot through the planet's upper atmosphere, leaving behind the ruined city and the monstrous executioner. Inside the ship, the crew tried to catch their breath, but the tension in the air was thick. No one spoke for a moment, the weight of what had just happened pressing down on them. Captain Hunter leaned against the cold metal wall, staring at the alien they had rescued. It sat hunched over, its thin fingers trembling as it clutched at its damaged robes. Its dark eyes, filled with something between terror and despair, darted around the room, as if expecting another attack at any moment. Hunter finally broke the silence. "Start talking." The alien flinched. "About what?" Hunter narrowed his eyes. "That thing back there. The executioner. What is it? Who built it? And why the hell did it wake up when we arrived?" The alien hesitated. Then, with a slow, shaky breath, it spoke. "You shouldn't have come here." Dr. Grant, kneeling beside the alien with a med scanner, exchanged a worried glance with Hunter. "We didn't exactly have a choice. Your distress signal went out across half the galaxy. We thought you needed help." The alien shook its head. "That was not a distress call. That was a warning." Cole, arms crossed, let out a bitter laugh. "Well, you could have been a little clearer about that before we almost got vaporized." The alien finally looked up, its expression haunted. The executioner was not meant to fight invaders. It was built to keep something inside that planet. A cold chill ran down Hunter's spine. Inside, the alien nodded. Long ago, our civilization was much greater than what you see now. We were scientists, explorers, architects of wonders. But we were arrogant. We uncovered something we should have left buried. It was not a machine, not a creature, but something ancient, something powerful, and something that should never have been woken. Dr. Grant set down the med scanner, suddenly looking pale. Are you saying your people locked this thing up? We tried. The alien's voice was barely above a whisper, but we failed. The ship's alarm suddenly blared. A red warning light flashed overhead. Captain, the pilot's voice rang out over the comms. We've got incoming. Multiple bogies on an intercept course. Hunter rushed to the cockpit, gripping the back of the pilot's seat as he stared at the radar screen. It was lit up with red signals, dozens of ships moving fast. Can you identify them? The pilot's hands flew over the controls. They're not from any known faction. No comm signals, no markings, just pure military-grade warships. And they're heading straight for us. Cole stood behind Hunter, jaw tight. Looks like someone really doesn't want us leaving with our new friend here. Hunter's mind raced. If these ships were connected to whatever the alien was talking about, then they weren't just facing a rescue mission gone wrong. They had stumbled into something much bigger. He turned back to the alien. Who are they? The alien clenched its hands into fists. The ones who buried the past, and the ones who will kill to keep it that way. The ship suddenly shook as the first barrage of plasma fire struck their shields. The pilot cursed, yanking the controls to evade the next volley. Shields down to 60%. Hunter snapped into action. All hands to battle stations. We're not going down without a fight. As the Valkyrie banked hard, dodging through the enemy fire, Hunter had a sinking feeling that this was only the beginning. The Valkyrie twisted through the darkness of space, its engines burning hot as it dodged another barrage of plasma fire. The enemy warships were relentless, their movements sharp and precise, like predators closing in on wounded prey. Inside the ship, alarms blared as the crew scrambled to keep the shields online. Sparks flew from damaged panels, and the smell of burning metal filled the air. Shields at 30%, Captain. The pilot yelled, gripping the controls tightly. We can't keep this up much longer. Captain Hunter clenched his jaw, his mind racing for a way out. The enemy was too well coordinated, too fast. This wasn't just an ambush, it was an execution. They're trying to box us in, Cole growled, watching the tactical display. If they cut off our escape route, we're done. Hunter turned to the alien, who was still trembling in the corner of the room. You said these ships belong to the ones who buried the past. What does that mean? Who are they? The alien hesitated before speaking. They are the keepers, the last remnants of those who tried to contain the darkness we unleashed. Contain it, Dr. Grant snapped. Then why are they shooting at us instead of that executioner thing? The alien's voice was grim. Because if you leave this place alive, you will spread the knowledge of what lies beneath, and they cannot allow that. Hunter felt a chill run down his spine. So they'd rather erase everything than risk the truth getting out. The alien nodded. To them, it is a necessary sacrifice. A violent explosion rocked the Valkyrie, throwing the crew off balance. The lights flickered as another hit drained their already failing shields. We're not gonna last much longer, the pilot shouted. We need an escape plan. Now. Hunter's mind raced. They couldn't outfight these ships, and they were running out of places to run. Unless. How close is that planet's gravity well? He asked. The pilot blinked. Too close for comfort, Captain. If we go in at this speed, we won't be coming back out. Hunter glanced at the alien. Is there anywhere safe down there? Any place we can hide? The alien hesitated. There is a place, but it is dangerous. More dangerous than staying here. The alien didn't answer. That was enough for Hunter. Take us in, he ordered. The Valkyrie veered sharply toward the planet, diving into the thick atmosphere. The enemy ships hesitated. Chasing them down there would be risky. But hesitation wasn't enough. A moment later, half of them followed, determined to finish what they started. Inside the ship, everything shook violently as they descended. The heat shields burned red-hot, and turbulence slammed against the hull. The air grew thick with tension. Dr. Grant held onto the console. "I really hope you know what you're doing, Captain." Hunter didn't, but at this point, they had no choice. Ahead of them, through the fiery clouds, a dark shape loomed, an ancient structure buried beneath the planet's surface. Something massive, something forgotten. The alien's voice was barely above a whisper. "You're leading them straight to it." Hunter narrowed his eyes. "Then let's make sure we're the only ones who make it out alive." As the Valkyrie plunged into the unknown, the true horror of what lay beneath was about to be revealed. The Valkyrie shot through the thick atmosphere, engines burning at maximum thrust. The pursuing enemy warships followed, their weapons charging for another barrage. Inside the ship, tension gripped every crew member. The violent turbulence made it nearly impossible to keep control, but the pilot fought against the chaos, guiding them toward the dark landscape below. Hunter braced himself as another blast struck their weakened shields. "Status," he barked. "Shields are gone." The pilot shouted. "We take another hit like that, and we're done." "Then we make sure we don't get hit," Hunter growled. The alien, still trembling in the corner, spoke softly. "You are heading toward the vault. It is where the old ones locked away what could not be destroyed." Hunter's eyes flicked to the massive structure rising from the surface. The closer they got, the clearer it became. This was no ordinary ruin. It was something ancient, something built with a purpose far beyond what they understood. Dr. Grant's voice was tense. "If that thing has been locked away for so long, there's probably a reason for it." Cole gripped his rifle. "Yeah, well, we don't have the luxury of avoiding it right now." The first enemy ship broke through the clouds behind them, weapons glowing. "They're locking onto us." "Not for long," Hunter muttered. "Take us down now." The Valkyrie dove toward the vault's surface. A sudden shockwave erupted from the structure. Energy surged across the sky, disabling the enemy ship's tracking systems for a brief moment. It was just enough time. The Valkyrie slipped through a crack in the surface, plunging into darkness. The ship skidded across the ground before coming to a stop inside a vast underground chamber. Dust filled the air, and the only sound was the heavy breathing of the crew. "Everyone okay?" Hunter asked. A series of groans and nods followed. Dr. Grant scanned the readings. "Air's breathable, but I wouldn't recommend staying too long. We don't know what's down here." The alien stepped forward, staring into the abyss beyond. "You are standing in the tomb of something far worse than your pursuers." Cole checked his weapon. "Great. More nightmares." Hunter activated his flashlight, illuminating the walls. Strange carvings covered the stone, depicting battles, destruction, and something else, something lurking in the background of every image. Then the ground shook. A deep, resonating sound filled the chamber, vibrating through the bones of everyone present. It wasn't mechanical. It wasn't natural. It was something waking up. Dr. Grant's face went pale. "Tell me that was just an earthquake." The alien's voice was barely a whisper. "It has sensed us." Hunter gritted his teeth. "Then let's make sure we're not here when it fully wakes up." Behind them, the entrance to the vault began sealing shut. The enemy ships wouldn't be able to follow. But now they had a new problem. Whatever was trapped inside wasn't going to stay that way much longer. And they were stuck with it.